So in this lecture we are going to learn about social engineering. So this is one of the most powerful tools for breaking into any computer system or network, and it is one of the most important technique that you need to be able to understand to block this kind of attacks, whether this is coming from a computer hacker or from an attacker on the outside or on the inside of your organization. So whether it's coming from a con artist out in real life or predator either online or in the real world, you need to understand these types of technique that social engineer attacker use so that you can keep yourself safe both online and in the real world. So the number one types of online social engineering attack is phishing, because it's the most prevalent and because it's one of the most engaging phishing. So this is a phishing with the ph. So it's the number one attack because it's so easy to do with so many people. So if you ever gotten with a phishing email before, it looks like it comes from someone official like your bank, your employer, your school, your friend, and maybe even with your family member, and it looks like an email asking you to log in and check on the account activity or to check in to help a friend out who is someplace somewhere else and traveling in the world. So for example, it looks like it's coming from you, that someone that you recognized and that you do business with you, and business that you do business with eBay, so or your PayPal account. But when it comes to phishing, they are just trying to get your credential, your username and your password to hack into your account. And unfortunately, phishing is number one because it is very effective. You won't even realize unless you faced one to see how effective it is. Everybody that this isn't just something that people do because they are done, is because we all get distracted at some point and we all get like some kind of social engineering techniques that we faced. So that's why it's really important to understand how this happens. Well, phishing is just sending an email and trying to get you to click through a link or to give you up information that you have, but it is based on some other social engineering techniques, and these all work together in a really effective way. Pretesting is the first of those, which is pretending to be someone that you are not, or setting up a false pretext or false situation. So you say like you are calling from a corporate or you're calling from a computer support. So you say that this is an email from a friend which is in trouble. So they are traveling somewhere that they need some money and they weren't able to pay their hotel bill, or they got arrested and they need to access to a lawyer. So there are a lot of pretexts that people use both online and in the real world in our phones. And the predator might say that I am your friend's dad, I am your friends of your mom's, and you have to understand and you have to talk to your kids and talk to your family members, friends about social engineering in both online and real world. So we would say that they would say like they are in your class and they are also in the same grade as you are, or they work in the same company that you are working and also have same kind of jobs. So pretesting just means using some false information and that may have some information to try to make a connection with the user. So we'll see in phishing emails, you will see that in other online and real attack. So a great example is someone leaves a USB drive in the parking lot of your company, and the natural thing for to do is ultimately pick that up and drive and plug it so that they might be able to use it. But unfortunately, if they put malware on there, so it may just attack your network from the inside and intentionally, so you didn't know all of those. So sometimes that click can take you to a website. Is this baiting? So that is compromised is a common social engineering technique. This means that you will get a little something. So if you do something for me, they will do something similar like this. So an example of this is like the Nigerian prince email scam. You may have heard or may not, which is a terrific example of this. So the email was like, if you help us to get this money or out of this country, then we'll send you some portion of it or you'll get some portion of it. So this is simple as this. So if you will do this for me, I will send you some information. I will give you some money, similar like this. So this is what quid pro quo makes these types of attacks. So just means that something for something else. So another common attack is tailgating. So which can be happen both online and also real world. So the most common way was the tailgating is to use the stand outside of the building of your some employees, maybe in the smoke break zone, and then when they go back to your work, and after you struck up a few conversation and you just follow one of them, or they come in holding a package in the hand and wait until someone comes to the door and you walk in right behind them, and it allows you to gain access to a building. So you have seen this in like movies and in television crime shows before. Tailgating is a real thing. So in real life it can give someone access to the computers in your network in your physical premise. So as we saw back in our like previous lectures, physical access can mean like total access. So if someone can touch your computer, they may be able to get all of your information and they can get your network and all of those. So the next example is phishing. So phishing is a voice from efficient. So someone makes a phone call and pretends to be someone that they are not, like company IT support. So you'll see this in like phishing SMS. So that's where someone sends you a simple message or service or a text message pretending to be your bank or pretending to be your employee, or like pretending to be an attorney presented in the IRS. So they will leave your message and they will call you up on your phone so that they can even fake. So the caller ID number of your telephone can make you believe that it is really a call from like government agency. So you have to be very careful not to give out any information. Remember, the IRS does not call most law enforcement agencies. Don't make phone calls. They don't do. So they either send certified mail if it's the IRS, or they will come in person. So if it's really law enforcement, they will just use this either calling from. So they won't do the calling thing. And the last part is spear phishing. So we are going to create a spear phishing, but not just a phishing attack, a spear phishing attack, and we are going to customize a fake phishing email for a particular individual or a group of individuals. So spear phishing is where you use some special information about the person that you try to get to a particular individual's information. Sometimes we call this whale phishing, when we are going to be to the person or to the organization. So great example of this is like spear phishing that was in the Democratic National Convention that was hacked in the United States during the 2016 election cycle, and there were just a couple of keys, administrative account key users who fell for it. But it's not simple, but relatively sophisticated phishing attack. Like we are going to see how to build and how they unfortunately unwillingly gave access to outside attackers. So spear phishing are real techniques. All of those are real things. We need to know about this and talk about this with our families, friends, and with our employees, so that they understand this better, so that we all can avoid falling for these social engineering types of attack. So usually This comes with some sense of urgency, so someone who will work in the pretext that you have helped me to get this tomorrow. So you need to do this before the end of the day. So somebody hacked into your account, you need to take care of it right now. You got to be able to understand this technique so that you can recognize the sign of phishing attack and then so that you can avoid being impacted. So in this lecture we'll be talking about the basics of social engineering. So what is social engineering? Social engineering is a term that is widely used but poorly understood. It is generally defined as any types of attack that is non-technical in nature and that involves some types of human interaction with the goal of trying to trick a victim into revealing information or violate normal security practice. Social engineers are interested in gaining information that they can use to carry out actions such as identity theft or stealing password or in finding out information for later use. Scams may include like trying to make a victim believe that the attacker is technical support or someone in authority. An attacker may dress a certain way with the intent of fooling the victim into thinking that the person has authority. The end goal of each approach is for the victim to drop their guard or for the attacker to gain enough information to better coordinate and plan a later attack. So, typically, individuals who engage in these types of activity are very good at recognize telltale signs or behaviors that can be useful in extracting information, such as like moral obligation, trust, threat, or something or nothing, or ignorance like this. So let's now talk about why does this social engineering work. So social engineering is effective for a number of reasons, each of which can be remedied or exploited depending on whether you are defender or an attacker. So let's look at couple of the options, like first, which is lack of technological fix. So let's face it, technologicals can do a lot of fix problem and address security, but at the same time it can be a source of weaknesses. One thing that technology has little or no impact on is blunting the effectiveness on social engineering. This is largely because technology can be circumvented or configured incorrectly by human beings. Insufficient security policies. So the policies that stated how informations, resources and other related items should be handled are often incomplete and insufficient at best. Social engineering, and third one is difficult detection. Social engineering by its very nature can be hard to detect. Think about it, like an attack against technology may leave a trace into a like draw log file or trip an intrusion detection system, but social engineering probably won't have any of this. And the last one is lack of training. So the lack of training or insufficient training about social engineering and how to recognize it can be a very big source of problem. So, so let's now talk about the power of social engineering. So why is social engineering such a powerful tool and why will it continue to be so? To answer this, you must first understand why it works and how or what this means to you as a penetration tester. Going after the human being instead of the technology works, I think, most of the times. And there are also a number of reasons. Like first reason is like trust. Human beings are beings who trust a lot, even me, who I trust a lot. So it's built into the species. When you see someone dressed in a certain way, like such as like wearing a school uniform or office uniform, or hear what they say, like hear them say the right words, you can trust them more than you will normally would. For example, if you see someone dressed in a set of scrubs and carrying a stethoscope, you tend to trust them. So this tendency to trust is a weakness that can be exploited, and it's always exploited. Even till date, people exploit it, people's weaknesses. And the second one is human habit and nature. Human beings tend to follow certain default habits and actions without even thinking. Like people take the same route to work every single day, even for me, this applies, and says the same thing and takes the same action without even thinking of a single second thought. So, in many cases, people have to consciously attempt to act differently from the norm in order to break their learning habits. A good social engineer can observe their habits and then use them to track people or follow the action of groups and then gain entry to building or then access the information. Like there are a couple of social engineering phases, like the other attacks who exploits like use footprinting, they use and gather details about the target through research and observation. Then they select specific individuals or groups who may have access or information that you need to get closer to a desired target, and then look for the sources such as people who are frustrated, overconfident or arrogant and willing to provide information readily. In fact, the presence of these types of person can take the form of in an insider threat. Then another one is like forged relationship with the intended victim through conversation and discussions or even from emails. So exploit the relationship with the victim and then extract the desired information. They also use that. So that's how always like social engineer keep them updated to use other techniques to social engineer. So that's all about the basics of social engineering.